Raised by Wolves, Season 2, Episode 6, The Tree.
Hey everyone, welcome back to AsArt with Nick and John. We're continuing our deep dive into the world of Raised by Wolves. So this episode, we actually got a little bit more answers to our questions. We still got a lot of, we got some funk. We got some crazy theories. Nick and I haven't talked about this at all. I've got some crazy theories on this, and it's going to be fun. Check out AsArt.space for all the audio and video links, but let's jump right in here.
By the way, guys, we reviewed every episode of Season 2, and we also did some reviews of Season 1, and we also review comments, too. So by subscribing and hitting the bell, you can be notified when our episodes come out, so you can get all the good theories. Okay, John. So, spoilers. Okay, John, are you ready for another baby to be born on this planet?
Those of you that have been watching our other episode reviews will laugh because Nick is like, oh yeah, and then I watched the preview for the next episode and other stuff. I finally found them on my NVIDIA Shield TV, so now I can finally actually see these things. They kept talking about how great the birth and everything was in this. I'm like, I could have done without that probably, actually. But anyway, we'll get into that a little bit more.
The sea creature. Yeah. I did not see that coming at all.
No.
And first of all, that seems like the easiest creature to run away from. All you got to do is like juke it to the left and it'll be like flopping after you like a seal.
Anyway, she just got done having a baby, all right? Right. But so this is going to be interesting because I have a theory about this on why it wanted the baby. Did you have any thoughts on why it wanted the baby and why it took off for the baby? I'm curious.
I have a couple different theories.
Ooh, I'm excited here.
So the first one is I think it's connected to grandmother.
Yes.
Because you see the creature when he's going through the data stuff. And then after they're done talking, he says like a new baby's going to be born. And then she shuts off. So I didn't know if she like is controlling the creature or if she's connected to something and that was her like controlling the creature or what, or telling the creatures what to do or something weird like that, where I think it's like connected where she wants to protect the baby.
Huh.
Anyways, that was my crazy theory. What's yours?
That's interesting because I didn't catch that. I'd have to, so that was like a montage where they kept cutting back and forth, right? So you were saying the grandmother shut off right as they were saying there's going to be a new baby born.
Well, because she asked like how many people are on the planet. He says like 100 and something. Oh, and one's going to be born. And then she like shut off right after. It was like weird. Like, okay, she shut off. That was weird, you know.
So my little theory kind of connects Tempest and grandmother. So she went and saw grandmother, and that's when grandmother's face kind of had the image of the baby on there, and the baby kind of jumped or whatever, you know, had some type of reaction. And after that, you know, Sue or Mary, whatever, you know, name you want to go by, our medical doctor said, yeah, the baby's actually doing great. And the baby ended up coming way earlier because its heartbeat was going way stronger and was delivered earlier. So I'm almost curious so grandmother has some weird technology akin to what mother has, but it's not a weapon. It's a completely different thing. So I'm curious if she changed the biology. All we know is that all of the things on this planet are now like these weird creatures. And I'm curious if this baby somehow has some changed biology, that this sea creature wanted to have that, and it has some changed biology because they made an effort in the show to point out that the baby's heartbeat's going better than ever. It's going to be delivered way earlier. I'm like, oh, something's different about this baby now. And did that cause it for the sea monster thing to want to have this? So I'm curious to see if that comes about.
So yeah, so unanswered questions still.
Yes. Oh, for sure. Unanswered. Like we could be spouting absolute crap and none of this comes to pass in anything. Yeah. But that's down below. We'd love to hear if you guys got any of this as well, or you caught stuff that we didn't as well. Yeah. This is where the really fun of this show comes in, is all the crazy theories and ideas that all of us come up with and get to share and discuss together.
So we both agree it has to do with grandmother, the baby.
Well, that's our collective crazy idea.
Our theory.
It might not have anything.
We don't know if we're going to be right. We don't know if we're even going to get an answer by the end of the season. I mean, it's going so fast. There's only 2 episodes left, but there's a lot to talk about with the trailer. Did you watch the trailer this time?
I did.
Okay, we're gonna cover that later, just in case if you guys want to get off to not be spoiled by the trailer and stuff.
Yeah.
But I had a crazy theory and then I debunked my own theory. But I just thought it was so interesting. I just wanted to mention it here. So Marcus had the data card, right? And then he gave it to Lucius, who had the data card. And then he is able to read this data card. And
that's what I wanted to ask. Is Lucius able to just know by looking at the data? How did he read that? Because
I don't know. I don't know if humans can read it too. If it's just like an iPhone and you can like activate or whatever.
As I was watching
Siri,
that,
play.
And he said that, I was confused when he said it's a warning, and it sounded like he knew what was going on. I was confused. It's like, how did he know that? And Marcus didn't. So I'm glad you.
I for some reason I thought Marcus did know. I was like, oh, what if Marcus knew this whole time that someone had to be sacrificed for the seed? That's why, like, when she was like, hey, we're going to go plant the tree and then we're going to come back and save you. He wasn't like, oh, I have to go with you or anything. It's like almost he knew someone else had to be sacrificed, or maybe he thought he had to sacrifice himself for the tree, or so, because the way he was acting was so different with Sue this time around. Like it was so weird the way he was acting and like trying to.
You think so?
I thought it was. I don't know, but it's just something threw me off. And then obviously there's like some kind of connection at the end where he knows Sue's in the tree.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I'm like, I wonder, what if he read the card or something on his way up in the cage? I don't know how this thing works. I don't know if you need a computer to read these data cards or what. But I was like, what if he knew? And he knew like someone had to be sacrificed for this.
I thought it looked like there was a genuine. So I thought, we're jumping to kind of the end here a little bit. Yeah. We're jumping around a bit. But so I thought when he ate that fruit that came
which
from
looked
the tree,
like brains.
It looked like monkey brains from like Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones Temple of Doom, the monkey brains. I thought that was almost like the tree of knowledge, where he got a knowledge, because after that is when he saw the pulsing of the life going through the tree. And I thought that gave him almost like the knowledge of like, oh, this is a living being. And somehow he got an idea of like, oh, this is Sue or Mary or, whatever it is.
And it could totally be that too.
And we're going to talk about the brains a little bit more later on, but we're not going to talk about that yet because we're going to be getting into other episode territory.
Yes. One other thing we got to talk about is grandmother's connection to Campion, because it seemed like she only activated with Campion and with the
Tempest
baby
too. Because I thought
baby,
she was,
right?
I thought she was maybe in tune with children or adolescents. Like I thought she's like a caregiver or something like that, but I'm not sure.
Well,
let's talk about Campion.
I think those are the only two, the baby and him, Campion. I think they're the only two that are like natives to the planet, that were born on this planet. So I don't know if that's what the connection is, right? Or if it is like a time loop stuff and he is half his creator, or it's like the DNA, or he's a clone, but maybe it's like a time loop where he's able to activate the grandmother robot or an android again or something like that.
And it was interesting that grandmother was completely confused about father. She goes, well, you're my companion. Yeah. He's like, no, I'm not. And like
asking about the veil too.
Yes. And you would imagine that there would be a certain recognition, like almost like genetic, but in android terms, where she would recognize. So it almost does hint into this whole time loop type thing. Obviously, I don't want to jump too far into that territory, but people have thrown out that theory, and we do have kind of potential paths that would suggest that, and that almost suggests that in a way as well. So that is interesting. But going back to Campion that you were talking about.
Sorry, so I just think there's a connection between the new baby. I don't think has a name. I can't remember if she named the baby.
I don't think so.
And then Campion, like that's the only thing she had like legitimate connections to so far.
Yeah.
So far, I mean, it could be maybe something else. Maybe she's connected to number 7 too, because number 7 was also. And by the way, we got number 7 back, but I'm going to touch on number 7 in a second.
Yeah, we get that.
And then one other thing I wanted to point out: how cool is it that Sue figured out almost everything with the Mithraic text and like the power source on this planet? She like made all the connections that us theorists have been making on this. I'm like, oh, cool. We got a little bit of answers, even though we kind of already knew that,
The bummer is it seems like Sue is now out of the picture, and she was one of my favorite characters this season. And, but if that's the case, she had a really good arc and, as far as character development and then, serving a final purpose, like actually, played a good role. But yeah, I'm going to miss her character if this, it seems like this would be the end of her for sure.
She was by far one of the one of the characters I was enjoying a lot on the show.
Yeah. But I like that. I like the idea that even if it's a fan favorite character, at least, for Nick and myself, they're not going to hesitate to kill that person. Just like Game of Thrones. Like, I love the idea that you could get attached to a character, but they're not going to hesitate to get rid of that, and just makes the story have much more emotional impact. Yeah. I would like to think and assume that father and mother and Campion are going to make it to the end of the series, but so far they've kind of shown that they're not, opposed to killing off some pretty main, at least at this point, secondary characters for the story and have, impact in the series.
Yeah.
It's not like, I guess what I'm saying, it's not like Star Trek where everybody's going to come back every single episode and no one's going to die.
It's true. Yeah. And then we need to talk about how cool is it that mother and grandmother are basically the same program, but one is about destruction and death and the other one's about life and creation. It's the yin and yang.
At least as far as we can tell. At least as far as we can tell with grandmother.
But yeah, but what's cool is like we saw how like stuff was able to grow on her body when the sunlight hit it. And then, dude, like basically when Campion's like, it's biotech or whatever. And he's like, what? We can create cities, blank. I'm like, say planets. And I think he did. He might.
I know. I was like, Nick's going to freak the F out if it says planets or biospheres. Like, we can make cities, like take it one more level. And Nick's going to have an aneurysm and just pass out.
Which is all kind of connecting to the scriptures though, right? It was like, there you plant the tree, you eat the fruit, then the city will be built there. So does grandmother have anything to do with the city being built? Because of the way of her programming and stuff like that. Yeah. And remember how there's like, there's something there that the weapons isn't there. You know what I mean? Like, is it one of those, like those towels that you wet and they expand and it's like you dab water on it and it expands into a city or something? I don't know. I have no idea, but I was just like, okay, there's totally something there. And I really like the setup of like destruction and death versus like life and creation kind of thing going on right now.
But I still do like the idea, Mother is kind of almost taking a page out of the book of Terminator 2, where they wanted, at least James Cameron wanted to get across the idea that a Terminator is an amoral construct where it just depends on how you program it. You can program it to be an evil thing or you can program it to be a good thing. Yeah. It doesn't really matter. And Mother was a necromancer. It was taken down. It was reprogrammed to be a caring being. And now it kind of has these two kind of conflicting things. But it's using its necromancer abilities trying to be a good mother. But it looks, but you see Mother kind of overstepping her bounds, over what Campion and Father want in order to, kind of promote what she thinks is the best way.
Really becoming human.
I guess, yeah.
And, it reminded me, I think, didn't Campion say something in season 1, like everything has a soul or something like that? And he's like, even mother and father have a soul. And
I don't remember that. I'm not sure.
And I think he even said something about like the life for trees or plants or something like that. And I was like, oh, dang, I wonder if this is a callback because now Sue is the soul of the tree. Therefore, a tree has a soul. And then like now we're starting to see mother and father kind of develop like human-like almost soul kind of like, I don't know. I was just like, is this a callback? Because we got the callback with the song. Did you notice that? Yes. Did you remember that?
Yeah.
Because remember how she was tested in season 1 if she was a true believer and she didn't know the song apparently, and that's when like they knew, and then like this is, I don't know when she learned the song apparently, or if she always knew it, or because but it's so crazy that they would teach this to everyone so anyone could activate the C pod.
Yeah. Well, if you're a soul believer.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Believer soul and know that, which is really, really cool. Yeah, really, really cool touches. And you're right. Even if people like me have forgotten a good chunk of stuff from season 1, I like that they're referencing that stuff and, bringing it back into the fold there, which is really neat. Yeah.
And then it seems like too, the cards are created to stop soul.
You know what? I keep going back and forth on this stuff. I keep feeling like there is two voices. We're going to get into this a little bit more when we get to number 7 and things like that. But yeah, I don't know. It seems like it's going.
It makes sense now why you would want to just destroy those cards. If those cards have information on what not to do to stop this from happening or whatever, you know what I mean? Like you would want them destroyed. So maybe that's why that guy was holding on to it.
Well, so did Marcus find his way there because he was meant to find that card? Like, what was leading him down there? You know, did he just make it down there by chance, or was Solo leading him down there?
He
And
didn't
he
hear
was
a
meant to
voice though
find
at
that
the
card?
time. He hasn't
Yeah,
heard the
but
voice in season 1.
but he's being led by the voice in one way or another by how things are happening. We could go down a rabbit hole with this, but yeah, he's not specifically hearing
Which
this
is
the way
what
he
we
did in
do here.
season
We
one.
go down rabbit holes and we make our own rabbit
That's
holes
right.
and we
That's
spin
right.
off on other rabbit holes. And then we could talk about number 7, the serpent.
Yeah, so number 7, go ahead. So what was your take when he was freaking out? Well, number 7, I don't know if it's a he or she. Serpent was freaking out when they were trying to laser through
So
the pod.
he either
What
wants
did you
to
think?
protect the seeds or destroy them.
Yeah.
And seem more like on the protection side, because I don't
think so?
I don't think if he wanted to destroy them, I feel like he would have found them sooner, maybe, or something like that. I don't know if by like he activated it, or if he knew that the seeds were in danger and he wanted to go save the seeds because maybe he felt like they were burning up or something inside the pod or inside the thing.
So obviously, I think it's probably meant for us to not know. I'm sure
yeah,
that's
most
something
definitely.
we're gonna find out. But to me, it looked like it was. Yeah, I mean, it was a concern type of thing for sure. If it was,
He was
First off,
spazzing
why
out
didn't you-
big time. He was spazzing out.
First off, I was like, why aren't you gonna bust out of the cave and go find it? How do you magically know? So my thing with number 7 was, remember when Mother was going out to kill number 7?
Mm-hmm.
She found number 7 at the very top of a mountain, and it was eating fruit, and the fruit looked like this red brain, bloody looking stuff. And it's like, was number 7 eating fruit from another type of tree like Sue turned into? And did that give number 7? Do you remember what the fruit looked
It
like?
looked like
Was
a
it the
pumpkin.
same fruit? Was it different fruit than what Sue's tree was dropping?
Oh, yeah.
Or was it similar? Because I thought
No,
it was
it's
like
different.
reddish on the
It's very much
okay,
like a pumpkin. It was like
Okay,
it was
I thought it
yeah.
was red on the. I thought it looked like blood on the inside, but do all
could
the
be.
special trees?
It could
do
be
all the
for
trees
all
look
we
the
know,
same?
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I don't know.
It could definitely
we
have been
don't
blood of something. At this point, it's
Well,
weird.
again, we don't see enough of plant life to know like are those two particular trees unique or are they regular ones? But
Yeah.
there's some type of tie between the serpent and that pod. And so is that because, Mother birthed this weird serpent, which again, I hope is a thread we get some type of answer for. And so it knows about this, or like, how did that, how are they connected to where it just magically knew that they were trying to break into that thing? Like that to me is like,
There's
okay, that's,
yeah, it's going to come
mean,
back
well,
for sure. It's going to come
I hope
back.
it's a story. I hope it's a story beat we actually get an explanation for, because otherwise I'm like, okay, now you're just kind of, that's weird that it would magically know that, but not have sought it out before now.
Which is going to be fun when we go into the trailer stuff, which is coming up, because that the big hints in the trailer, what's going to go on with number 7. And then one other thing I wanted to touch on was the nosebleed.
Yes. Yeah. I almost forgot about that.
So
but yes.
do you remember her first time she got a nosebleed?
No, I don't.
Season 1, after she lost her kids, she had a nosebleed. So I think that's like, I don't know, maybe it's her way of showing affection or tears or extreme emotion. Like she can't almost compute, like she's been betrayed by Sue, even though she thought like Sue was on her team and they were friends and stuff. And it's like this betrayal. It's like she doesn't even know how to deal with this emotion. Or is it because she's feeling the after effects of going toe to toe with grandmother?
Initially I thought it was from the effects of being against grandmother. It's like grandmother shut down, but you imagine that would have a toll on her as well. Yeah. Well, honestly, when the whole grandmother face off was happening, my first thought was they just have this shot in here so they could have a cool shot on the trailer. That's what I first thought. Because it's like this is a cool trailer shot for people to get excited about. But then I thought it was just Mother just staring down and shutting down grandmother. I didn't know that grandmother was necessarily doing anything back until she shut down, because it sounds like grandmother doesn't have weaponry, but then now we have to wonder, was grandmother doing something back and that's why she was bleeding? Or it's like, is it something due to, like you said, going based on what we had in season 1?
Betrayal
Or is it like a programming thing? She was saying we had one mission and we failed our mission, and it's like she's almost breaking internally because her programming is freaking out from not having completed what she's supposed to do. I mean, obviously I have no idea, but I was trying to think of why she was bleeding and I couldn't think of anything particular, but I assumed it was because of the whole grandmother thing.
So, okay, the trailer. I had to write down some of the things because I just wanted to make sure we hit on everything. So we have, they bring the fruit back to the camp, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everyone's just
I'm assuming that's Marcus.
Yes.
Getting it back because Mother doesn't seem too happy about it being there, right?
Yeah. Well, someone's going to bring it back. I don't know who, because it looked like it was in containers and stuff. So I don't know where these containers, I mean, the containers could have been in the tank that they took to go find it. But then we see Mother finds the tree, and she obviously knows what happened to the tree. It looks like she's like touching the tree. She probably knows Sue, and as she knows something went down. I mean, obviously it looked obvious in the trailer. And then we have the we have the creature breastfeeding the baby in the trailer.
The creature,
the water creature.
It was such a quick
so
I didn't really
so the creature is breastfeeding the baby that they took.
Okay, so the mermaid
it's a mermaid. I think because it looked different from than the other
Mer-Monster. Oh, so it was like a queen or whatever. It wasn't the one that took it down.
No, well, I think it is still the same one that took it down, but that one looked different from the other sea creatures we've seen. Okay. It was like it just looked different. Like the other one seemed a little bit more lighter in color. This one seems darker in color, and it's much more thicker with proportions too. I mean, if it has like a baby cavity in its body to kind of take the baby, but it was breastfeeding the baby. So it's like, what is going on here? We need answers ASAP.
Yeah, that's one of the weird tangents that this episode kind of got into that I'm very curious how this is. I imagine this would be a thread that would feed into the more important themes of the overall show, because we kind of wonder what happened on this planet previously, and they've hinted in season 1 that the humans devolved into those kind of 4-legged creatures, and now we're seeing by the ocean there are these 2-legged kind of swimming, mer creatures, and so I feel like that would be an important branch off. But do they have a full community down there that is like, thriving and things like that? Or do they have to have like human babies to bring down? It's very interesting.
A lot of questions.
Are we going to see that? Are we going to see that baby later? This is very interesting, but it's almost weird that they're bringing that into the plot line and storyline. And, I don't know if it's going to be a main thread or just a little side thread that they almost abandoned, like Campy and seeing the sister that died, in season 1 that I had forgotten about until you brought it up again.
Yeah. Oh, and I mean, this could also be the orphan of the prophecy too, maybe. Remember, I was like, it's supposed to be an orphan.
Oh, it's not really an orphan if it has a mom. Well, yeah. Okay, stolen baby.
Yeah.
Stolen baby.
You know what I mean? Like, we don't know though. Like, I mean, now is Paul, I mean, obviously his dad's still around, but because of the way Sue sacrificed herself, I don't know if she sacrificed herself on purpose, but the way she was sacrificed for the tree of life, does that mean he's more now in the running to be, the child of prophecy if something happens to Marcus too down the line? Because everyone's eating the fruit in this trailer. Everyone's eating the fruit, and nothing's good's going to come from eating this fruit. It's almost like, drinking the Kool-Aid, like everyone's eating this, I'm like, everyone's eating this, and she's like, what are you doing? Don't do this. Like, this cannot be good.
Well, and you have a shot where Mother runs up and stops one of the children from eating the fruit, right? Mm-hmm. So Mother has a good idea that like, hey, you shouldn't eat this. And so I don't know if that's going to cause them to change too in some way, or it's like Marcus eating that fruit where it's going to give him some type of knowledge where he understood that was Sue, the tree. So I'm very curious what happens with, I think of, tree of knowledge, biblical type stuff, but that might be me just trying to inject, the biblical stuff I'm familiar with into this. Whereas, they're always picking and choosing and injecting different biblical, or not biblical, like mythological and theological themes and injecting it in, but giving a unique twist on it. So I'm curious to see what's going to come of that as far as like, okay, what do these brain-looking fruits actually do? I'm very curious to see what that... But we know that's going to be in the next episode, so I'm going to be curious. And they've made it apparent enough in the trailer that it seems that we're going to find out for sure what's actually going to happen with that, or we're going to see some type of effect from that.
Yeah. And then number 7 breaks out. So it's due to something. It's due to the fruit. Maybe it's due to the signal. Maybe the signal's getting so strong it's like freaking out and it wants to break out or something like that. And then who comes back? Oh my gosh, someone comes
Nick?
back in the trailer.
Nick, you kept talking about a Wi-Fi extender. Maybe the tree is the Wi-Fi extender that you've been waiting for.
Yeah. Nighthawk 8086 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. AC ++456.
And then Vero comes back, right?
Yes, and she looks like Hannibal Lecter, like Anthony Hopkins, like hello,
and she's attacking Hunter and Father, almost looks like, or something.
Yeah, so I'm actually pumped. I'm glad that she's coming back because I liked her as a character, her arc, but man, she's full crazy now, and I like the Hannibal Lecter looking mask.
I feel like she's our wild card right now. Yeah. Like maybe they didn't account for this in their plan, to everyone eat fruit or whatever, just there's It's Always Sunny. I think there's an episode where like Charlie Day, he's like, wild card. He's like the wild card. He does like the most random stuff no one ever like expects.
Working because I cut the brakes. Wild card, bitches. Yeah! Oh, God!
That's what I think. I'm like, yes, that's our wild card. She's gonna go kill everyone.
I do feel like if anybody is going to kind of keep her in line, it's going to be Campion, though, because they have that existing relationship. And so I feel like Campion and her are going to have a dynamic in so far as that storyline. But yeah, I mean, she's wrecking shop in that trailer. So that's going to be fun to see kind of what happens with that. That'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. So plenty of fun, kind of some potential like closeouts on Threads as far as Sue and Mary, but also a lot of fun, different dynamics and directions that the show could go in at this point. If you guys have any ideas on the whole merman society in the ocean, we'd love to hear your ideas on that. That one really has me scratching my head. But where do you think these last we only have 2 episodes left in season 2. We're very excited to hear what you think is going to happen in the rest of season 2, and also what you think is maybe going to happen in the rest of the larger story in Raised by Wolves. Check out AsArt.space for all the audio and video links for all the different type of contents. Remember, we only have 2 episodes left of Raised by Wolves. We cover all kinds of stuff on our channel. We'd love to have you continue to join us in our journey in all the games and shows and movies we review on here. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next AsArt. Monkey brains.